All right, ladies and germs, welcome to another edition of Last Newsdesk on the Left. I am your face-melted host, Mac Paladin. With me is the crew, of course, consisting of Adam.
Hello.
Kevin's in the house.
Greetings and salutations from the planet Mars.
Betty Van.
The basement is dark. I can't see. Call some help.
Jesus Christ. The Collix is lurking in the shadows.
Don't just love it when you have to fucking refresh the Twitch page because it doesn't get rid of the hosting thing when the show starts?
Yeah. And of course,
Also, hey Kevin, how's Overlord Elon treating you?
That was God King Elon now.
Well, let's just say that we're working on a plan to get him out of here. Just gotta get him on that stupid little SpaceX rocket and send him flying, you know what I mean? You know.
Jesus Christ. And of course, our gaming partner in crime, Twilight Winter.
Hey, yo.
All right. We have a show this week. I don't know if it's great, but we're going to work on it. It's going to be a great show. We're going to work on that.
I mean, we have things to talk about this week.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Right, but, it's because former President Fuckwit's in the news.
And he didn't even wait till we were 5 minutes into the show before dropping that F-bomb.
Actually,
fine,
I
one
did
quick.
too, so sorry.
We already got two, so we're probably not getting paid this week, boys. Oh.
Fucking McFucksticks.
Sorry, I was mad at Twitch in my defense.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's because of block terms like. Oh wait, we're not supposed to list them.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I suppose we should get right into it.
Indeed. That's what she. Wait, no. That's,
Okay.
I think that's on the blocked expressions
Yes.
list.
In her endo.
In her head. Oh, Jesus! That came from Adam.
Wow.
Folks, just so you know, folks. And here we were so sweating what was going. Oh fuck! I forgot to retweet everybody. Go ahead and talk amongst yourselves. I'll look for your tweets.
Yes. Anyway, so today was the second day of impeachment trial hearings. The first part of opening statements. I had to explain to my mother over the phone today that no, what they voted on was not the impeachment trial thing. That was to vote on if this impeachment trial was unconstitutional or not.
Isn't that great?
It's like
Mm-hmm.
that was 4 hours of debate. Like,
Although, frankly, you could probably consider that vote as at least somewhat a sense of where the Republican Party is on this whole damn trial. Although maybe you get one or two or three more to come the other way. I think that basically is going to be the baseline for the final vote at the end of the day. So-
I left a firm email for Susan.
It's like,
she's probably going to be one of the ones who votes to convict.
yeah.
I would leave.
Yeah. It looks like the people who are going to convict are Susan, Lisa, Murkowski, Mitt Romney. I'm assuming Ben Sass, because he's been pretty much voting on the right way with all the votes up to this point. And, maybe, what's his first name? Cassidy from Louisiana.
Yeah, I've also
But that's 6, and that's about it.
I also heard Toomey in that mix as well.
I don't. Probably not. I mean, I think if I recall correctly, he voted on the constitutionality question for this to be unconstitutional. So
Like I said, that's what I heard.
yeah.
Anyway,
But yeah, I would consider him maybe not confirmed. No, but yeah, I think it's pretty much just going to be 6, and that's it, and that's not enough to convict. So
no, I'm like the needed number is 17.
17. You ain't getting that.
Yeah. I'm
Nowhere
like,
close.
no. I'm like, I don't think that. I'm like,
Like at best, you might get 3 to 4, maybe to flip.
mhm.
I mean, it looks like they got Cassidy to flip, but I don't know how more you can get other than the ones that we have already. Clearly, at least somewhat open to the prospect of convicting him that we've already had up to this point. I don't think else is going to flip, and they're not going to get 17, and therefore he's getting acquitted for the second time. And boy, I tell you what, I hope Democrats are ready for the fallout for that.
I think they're going to be fine with that. It's like,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
well, I'm like, okay.
but
How do I
look. Like I actually tweeted earlier today, if they mix this with a positive record by the time we get to November 22, maybe we can salvage it. Maybe.
No, like I don't think it's going to go in the direction you think it's going. Like this isn't going to be politically detrimental to Dems at all.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. It's not going to backfire on them. That's not what I meant. It's like, it's not going to move the needle anywhere, is what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it's probably not going to backfire, but I don't think it'll hurt the GOP in any way, unless
Well,
Democrats still have an economic aspect.
it's already causing them to hold on a second, guys. It's already getting them to get their panties in a bunch because now they've targeted "quote unquote" 47 "quote unquote" weak Democrats, and to try to unseat them and build a majority that will put Nancy Pelosi into retirement permanently.
Well, the thing is that
so clearly,
need,
clearly, the thing that they don't care about, they actually care about a lot.
Well,
they're going to probably get the majority in the House in 22 regardless, simply because of redistricting at this point.
I have my doubts on that as well.
It's only 5 seats. There's enough open seats in red states to get those 5 seats. There just is.
It's way too early to say how anything's going to go in the fall of 22. Like,
well, that's true, but I mean,
like we're just coming off of the last election, so
that's true. You know, the fields haven't been put together yet, as it were. So, that's true. But that's in the terms of the Senate, and we'll see. And we haven't even had the redistricting process yet. So, but I mean, let's just say that if they can, if they do want to, they can. Is what I'm trying to say.
We haven't even had the census yet.
That's true too.
I'm like, who? Like, as far as redistricting goes, who knows?
Yeah, they need that first. So, but yeah, I mean,
like there are definitely dangers up ahead for the 22 elections. I mean, there's also the incoming waves of voter suppression that are being proposed in the various states. But
hi, how you doing? I'm living in one of those states.
Yes.
And your favorite congressperson is gaining in popularity amongst Republicans.
Am I supposed to be surprised by that? No.
Not really. I was merely reaffirming your.
Yeah, I mean, look. I live in a district where places like my part of the district right here, which is near the Atlanta Metro, which is bluer, is pretty much the minority when you compare with everybody else in this district, which are redneck hillbillies from the border regions and rural areas. So it's like those people absolutely love everything that MTG does and says and wants. Period. And if the Republican establishment and the Washington elite hate her, even better for her up there.
Granted, that works out well for her in a heavily gerrymandered representational district, but maybe not so much if she wants to go for higher office, which I'm pretty sure she's gonna want to do at some point.
Yeah, I mean, Hey,
there's no way MTG is going to be constrained to the 14th district of Georgia.
yeah, she might try a Senate run. She might even go for the big shot and go president in 24, 28. Who knows? But it's like if she wants to do that, at least in terms of maybe Senate or governor, she'll bring people. Probably she'll do well in the rural areas, but the suburbs are going to hate her. Although you never know what will happen when the voter suppression kicks in.
I suppose we get to that when we get to that, but focusing on the impeachment trial itself, I'm like, so the metagame here isn't so much to hold Trump to account, it's to hold his Republican co-conspirators to account as much as can be done in this framework.
Everybody involved in this, and it's not just Trump. He's kind of a side piece in this whole thing, if you think about it.
He is. He's the centerpiece, but the secret people who are on trial are gonna be the Republican senators who will vote to most likely acquit. Because the thing about Trump is, in all practical purposes, this is mostly irrelevant. I know the ultimate goal here is to get Trump disqualified from holding future public office, but in real terms, Trump's got bigger problems. Because once again, going to your state there, Kevin, Georgia, they've opened a formal criminal complaint over his election interference with the Georgia Secretary of State. The infamous call.
Fulton County DA, a black woman, by the way.
That and the Ukraine released the book on Giuliani.
Right, and Giuliani, he's probably going to have some DOJ problems at long last. Because
and he's probably kicking himself over the fact he didn't get a gimme from Trump like Bannon did.
Well, it's like,
isn't he also looking for a new state to be a lawyer in?
I don't think the New York bar has made a decision yet, one way or the other. They've said they're going to look into it, but they haven't made a decision.
Smart he is.
Yeah. That aside, we don't know what exactly Giuliani did to piss off Trump, but we do know he did because,
he failed.
Trump stopped paying him at the end there.
Yeah, he failed.
He didn't get a pardon, and he didn't get a commutation or whatever from him at the end either.
Yeah, because he failed. Narcissists do not reward failure. Even if they tried hard, even if they tried real hard, they don't reward failure.
Yeah, I guess. So.
And anyway, the developments that happened today were very graphic, very dramatic.
Basically, what was presented today is that we were just probably feet, yards, and seconds all away from 1/6/2021 being a massacre.
Which was known.
But not really.
If you paid attention to the news, some of that news I knew. Some of that news was known.
If you paid really close attention to the stories even from that day, you could put two and two together and say, oh, we were very close to this being a massacre. But you really didn't, get a
Well,
full idea of it. I mean, yeah, you could easily perceive that was the case, but pretty much with the security footage and everything else today, it's like, yeah.
Let me finish here because, yeah, this can like this being an impeachment trial, you can do certain things that you can't do in a criminal or civil trial, and that's actually have new evidence that's never been seen before.
Mhm.
Like here's the thing. If what the impeachment managers had done here in a actual criminal trial, it would have been a total fucking mistrial because you can't introduce new evidence that hasn't been seen, verified, or whatever in a criminal court or a civil court. But as in the Senate, oh yeah, you can do that because we got all the security footage, which has never been seen before. We learned things.
CCTV.
Yeah, we learned things we did not know. We did not know that Mitt Romney was almost killed.
Yeah.
We didn't know that Chuck Schumer almost got into a shootout with the insurrectionists. I won't say he would be getting killed because he had security detail on him.
Yeah, he had a detail. Yeah, he had a detail. Romney was with him, and I guess a staffer, maybe.
Yeah, Romney was. It was just him and a staffer.
It was him and a staffer, and then Officer Goodman ran up to him and said, "Hey, they're right over there. Get your ass out of here."
I still can't get over that the hero cop is named Eugene Goodman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the kind of name that would get you groaned out of screenwriting class.
Uh-huh.
But hey, it is funny how that works.
I know.
Yeah.
Life imitates art.
Reality's stranger than fiction sometimes.
No, life imitates really, really hacky art that gets shoved onto a DVD.
I found it on Laserdisc.
Yeah. Point is, it never touched a movie theater. But yeah, so this is the kind of stuff I've been looking out for because we were told that new evidence was going to be introduced. And that wasn't the only stuff. Because, okay, so the first part of today was establishing the timeline of the rioters and what they did at the Capitol. Second part was what Trump was doing along that timeline. And, some of the new stuff we saw there was the fucking insurrectionists literally reading out Trump's tweets.
Yeah.
I'm like...
Specifically the tweet about Mike Pence, which apparently was just like 10 minutes after a phone call with a senator, said senator told him that Pence is hiding in another room.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump heard that and then tweeted an attack against him, and that tweet was then read via bullhorn.
Yep. I'm like, so...
Which, for anybody who was actually listening to that, is a clear line from Trump to riot.
Right, because it's suspected that the defense is going to argue the whole, well, he didn't say go riot at the Capitol, even though, like, motherfucker... So
it was basically, what was it, like, it's basically, he said, we're going to the Capitol, and then later at the end of his speech said, let's walk down Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah, okay, so basically, the defense on the merits on this are non-existent. Like, which is why his I guess, lead defense attorney, Bruce Castor, just for 45 minutes, I don't know, rambled about anything he could think of. Like, it's like,
short of green eggs and ham.
Like,
it might as well have been that.
Yeah, during the dinner break that they had, he was basically like, well, they didn't connect it at all to Trump. I mean, they showed all that riot footage, but they didn't connect it all to Trump. Then, after the break, they said, let's talk about what Trump was doing.
Was it Collins of Maine who leaned over to Ted Cruz and asked, did I miss something here? Who was it that leaned over to Ted Cruz and asked, did I miss something here? And then after like 6 seconds of pondering, he just laughed.
Maybe. Like,
Maybe, yes. You know what? At this point, I can really
I
care
only
less
caught
what
some of it on
what
the
the
radio, so
I'm like, and the other insurrectionist supporter was apparently in the balcony propping up his feet and reading. Like,
Who was that? Holly?
yeah, that was Holly.
Yeah, that good old boy.
Yeah, you know, I'm like, and if I'm recalling correctly, I think it's what 16 hours of opening debate.
I believe so. Yes, and I believe at the end it was like they're going to finish the opening tomorrow.
Right. And then next time it's going to be 2 days of the defense, although I have no idea what the defense would do with 16 hours. Like,
They barely have enough. They barely
get
have
more
enough.
get more confused about whether they're the counsel or the prosecutor.
apparently, like, I
Or,
will,
or apparently one prosecutor trying to get enough rap to start a gubernatorial run in Pennsylvania. Apparently,
oh, and also try to get his client arrested. Like, because that is one of the few things I understood what Bruce Castor said. He said, maybe we should be, like, to the effect of we should be prosecuting Trump. I'm like,
and apparently a couple of the Republicans senators who want to quit him are saying, "Hey, maybe you should do this in a criminal court." Like, wait, what?
I'm like, that can be arranged. Mind you, we
Yeah.
don't even have a DA yet. Like,
Or AG, yeah, that'll be next month.
actually, I think
They announced the hearings are set for, I think it was 22nd, 23rd, I think. But that the nomination would probably head to the floor by March 1st.
yeah, that
So next
sounds
month.
about right.
Yeah, they did announce that, I think today or yesterday, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is coming.
And it's also worth
Officially
noting, since Republicans are so not just focusing on defending Trump but fighting amongst themselves, because the Republican Party is not united in protecting Trump. It's not many senators, it's not many representatives, but it is enough to just have the Republican Party firing inward, because that's a subset of Trump's MO, punishing the disloyal. Like,
yeah, and apparently from what we heard going into this, apparently they're going to wait until after the trial before unleashing the orange beast, as it were.
Oh yeah, wasn't one of the arguments that they made or something like that the accused needs to be able to present their whatever, and like that they need to be able to hear from the accused. And it's like, fuck, we asked him and he said no. Which is probably good, because if he hadn't said no, someone would have had to invent the new crime of ultra perjury. Because there's no way that orange thing could open its mouth on that stand and not achieve levels of lying under oath not previously observed in nature.
Although you never know, considering he has gone around the world in terms of depositions, so maybe he could do the lawyerly. I don't know, can't recall, bouncing around, dancing around to get just below the perjury bar. So you know,
we'll never know, unfortunately, because Trump decided to keep his mouth shut for once.
he's going to keep his mouth shut in terms of the trial, but once the trial's over, no doubt he's going to probably find a rally stage and then just let loose.
Yeah.
I doubt it. I doubt this. Like, I don't think you're going to see much in the way of Trump rallies. Like, because people...
I firmly believe that it's probably summertime you'll see him again.
Maybe so then, but people don't really understand what's going on in terms of his psyche. Like even people who purport to understand narcissists, like, okay, motherfuckers, do you not understand that Trump has suffered the worst defeat of his entire fucking life? Like,
Second only to the time when someone else took the last piece of cake.
Oh. Or the big piece of chicken.
like, and it's not just one defeat either.
It was my last
remember,
piece of Tasty Crispy. It's so unfair. Anyway.
Anyway, but I'm like, keep in mind, it's not that Trump just lost the election fairly and squarely by a large margin, but all of his fucking schemes to retain power failed. All of the court system nonsense failed. The insurrection, it came close to doing some real fucking damage, but it still failed. Like, everything fucking failed from election day to inauguration day. He lost so many fucking times.
Yeah.
And people are wondering why he has been cocooned at Mar-a-Lago for the past 3 weeks. Because it's reality to him now. He can't fucking bullshit the fact that he lost the election and, is no longer president. He has to live it every fucking day now.
Although he's probably just waiting for, some way to get out there. But yeah, I mean, he's been quiet.
Isn't that the other thing? Like,
as soon as running again in the next election is off the table, which it probably will be one way or the other, God willing, he's going to come out and say that actually he prefers not having to be president anymore, or the job was just too stressful.
I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't bet the farm on that one. I wouldn't.
But
the only way you're going to keep Trump from running again in 2024 is that if he is in an actual jumpsuit and in a criminal trial.
Oh, no. I'm not saying that he's going to voluntarily not run. I'm just going to say that as soon as it's off the table one way or the other.
There is one other way you left out, but we won't say it on the air.
Yeah,
moving on?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the point I was trying to make is Trump has already suffered has also suffered a great consequence in the fact that he's been thrown off all of social media.
Yeah,
I know we're still waiting on Facebook, but at the time of recording here, he has no fucking social media platform, especially his main one, which is Twitter. And
apparently he's still going to be banned. Yep.
Yeah, Twitter has today announced that he's done. Like, he is banned for all time, even if he runs again in 2024. And this is hugely fucking important because maybe Facebook becomes his next big megaphone, but Twitter was his fucking communication platform, flat out.
He literally made policy decisions on Twitter that were not made anywhere else.
Yep. Yeah, he fired and hired people on Twitter.
Yeah, and even if he like joined Parler or some other right-wing social media thing, that's never gonna have the reach that Twitter had. Like,
no, it's just not. He's gonna have to build a whole new audience.
Yeah. His voice,
although I will say again, probably the easiest social media platform he would have into building that back up would be Facebook. But see on that front.
Mistake, his voice has been permanently weakened. Like,
I wouldn't say permanently.
I would.
The Republican Party is still his party at the moment.
It's still, like, without Twitter, he's lost one of his major, clubs.
I mean, considering what's been happening in the States, I would say to you, I actually would question that.
I'm like, that's not anything to do with the Republican Party. I'm just talking about in general.
It is. It has everything to do with it. Look what's happening with Cheney Liz being censured by the Wyoming Republicans. Other Republicans who have been hard on Trump have been censured or have been punished or whatever.
Yeah, that's a Republican Party thing. That is not, he can go off on anyone kind of thing.
Here's the thing about that Wyoming thing, and this is what I was talking with Kira about when we were walking last night. And the thing about Wyoming's GOP censoring Cheney is ridiculous because it's like, yeah, they overwhelmingly voted for him before he backed insurrection. So the question is, if they had to do their vote all over again, would they still vote overwhelmingly for him? And don't answer that because you don't know that for sure.
Well, it might not have been overwhelming, but it still probably would have been a majority. And that's all that matters.
Perhaps.
But that's kind of that's one of the other points of this impeachment trial. It's, it's putting the, let's say, moral noose around the necks of Republican senators who will vote to acquit them. Because,
outside of, Ron John, if he decides to run again, he could easily decide to retire rather than run again. But outside of him, who's really going to get punished for this? I ask you that.
I'm like, see, here's the thing. That's can't be answered until 2022. Because that's when the answer will come.
Of course, 2022 is a long way away, and
senators and Congress people can be arrested in civil courts. They don't necessarily have to go through an impeachment in order to be tried. So there is that. And there's a remote possibility that Hawley and Cruz could be expelled from the Senate.
Not happening in your life. I hate to say it, but it's not happening.
You're missing what we're trying to get here, and it's like the whole, what's being presented today and what's going to be presented tomorrow. What the Democrats are doing is presenting events that are the height of moral reprehensibility, and they are tying that to not just Trump, but the entire Republican Party.
Well, now I'm going to jump to the other side of the fence, though. Do Republicans actually give a shit about that, or do they only still care about owning libs?
Well, that's another question. Okay,
look, it's not another question. It's pretty much the only reason why they're going to quit him.
That's another thing that's coming up in the here and now.
I mean, everybody's spending a lot of political capital trying to quote-unquote get the bad guys, but the simple fact of the matter is, do the people who matter to re-electing these people who are going to vote to acquit or convict, is it going to matter to them? Because it does. Because obviously they don't give a flying fuck about rule of law, Adam.
No.
Let me finish. Thank you. Because what's going on in the here and now is people are leaving the Republican Party.
And they're becoming independents, which doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to vote for Democrats.
Right.
No.
That's important to note.
But it is a sign that they are morally put off by all of
I don't want to put a broad brush on that fact.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. As much as I would love that's the case,
okay.
As much as I would love to do it, I can't. Because we're not going to know.
Stop for a minute. Because the numbers that are coming in are post-insurrection.
Mm-hmm.
So the correlation that can be drawn from that is these people have been put off by the insurrection enough to leave the Republican Party.
Perhaps, Adam, but you have to keep in mind another factoid, and that is that exit polls, for example, people said, "Oh no, I didn't vote for Trump," and then they did vote for Trump, and it's because they were ashamed, but at the same time they were excited. They were ashamed not because they believed they were doing something wrong, but because they were afraid of people making fun of them, which is not morally correct.
I don't think it's that. I think it's more like
harassing them or whatever.
I don't think it's that. I think it's more like, yeah, I hate this guy and everything that he's about, but at the same time, I don't like the other guy. I don't like the Democratic Party for X, Y, and or Z, and therefore I have no choice at all but to vote for this guy.
Them schluffing their party is because there is a massive online backlash against people who admit to being Republicans right now. So I don't see necessarily the correlation there to their suddenly getting a change of heart in morality, because they also voted the same way regardless of the previous impeachment, which was he was dead to rights, but they didn't give a fuck.
Now I will. No. Let me jump.
Another part to this.
All right.
This is so much more emotionally charged and emotionally raw than impeachment number 1. It's not even on the same fucking scale. What's going on in impeachment 2? It's like,
but what happened in impeachment 2?
Dramatic security footage of a cop getting crushed in a door. Sure.
Well, at the same time, we need to remember that anything and everything that happened on 1/6 was a culmination of everything that had happened with that man over the course of the last 4, 5, 6 years, however long it was since he went down that escalator.
And
it was the
especially
culmination of
since
everything.
November.
Yeah, and
right.
Yeah.
And it's emotionally raw. It's emotionally raw for us, people who, let's be blunt about it, have a conscience. Adam, people who don't have a conscience, people who are willing to excuse all of this behavior for literally over a fucking decade. Adam, people who are willing to get behind that since he started his shit with Obama, since he started that shit with Obama, and actually long before that. People who are constantly saying, "Oh, Donald Trump should run." They've been saying that for 20 fucking years.
Guess what? Guess what they get tied to now? They get tied to being cop killers. They get tied to being that shit.
They somehow will justify it as being the Democrats' fault.
But Adam, the cops were treating them like they were BLM.
No, I'm aware of that.
And they will also tie the cops' death to the Democrats somehow stealing the election. Well, it's their fault because they're the ones who started all this, and then Trump wouldn't have had to do what he had to do.
I mean, it's one step further from that. There are some people who are legitimately still considering this to be a false flag thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's the problem, though, is that a lot of this stuff only works. The way that people react to stuff only works when everyone agrees on the same reality, and we have one party that does not agree on the same reality as everyone else.
Thank you.
And I will, and if I can also say for a
video footage,
and nobody cares.
Yeah, they have video footage of people who are definitely false. Adam, they had video footage of conservative people say, "Hi, it's me, the conservative guy doing this thing," and those people got called false flag people the same fucking day or the next day.
I mean, they literally said that the people who were invading the Capitol building were probably actually Democrats pretending to be Trump supporters. Even hearing their testimony in the trial, they still don't believe that they were actually Republicans or right-wingers or conservatives or whatever you want to fucking call them.
The Speaker of the Michigan House of Representatives, I should point to you, is one of the people who was recorded telling fellow Republicans this was probably a false flag and a hoax. It's not just randos on the internet. It's literal Republicans who are pushing this. And I would also note this as well. Yes, there are Republicans who have left the party since 1/6, since November. They've become mostly independents. They have not become Democrats. So the question is, do they go ahead and vote for Democrats? If they don't in 2022 and 2024, they need to shut up.
Right, and this is the problem. Their moral stance against the Republican Party... Yeah, their moral stance against the Republican Party is so not really a thing because of the horseshit way they're doing it. They're like, well, I don't want to support the GOP, but I'm going to vote for them anyway because fuck Democrats and fuck liberals.
Exactly. Look, if you really are,
you think they're going to vote green? You think they're going to vote libertarian?
Well, maybe they won't. Yeah, they might vote libertarian, but they won't vote.
Okay, well all right. We're not trying
Like-
to hold on a second here, but we're not trying to beat up on you, Adam. But this is the
Yeah, I'm about done with this. Okay.
Look, we just
listen.
No,
look.
no,
Just
have to look at reality here.
no. You're off balance on this.
hardly.
Well, look,
You are
frankly,
exhibiting.
let's-
You are hold on.
I mean,
Hold on
I
a second,
see Adam-
Kevin. You are
Yeah,
exhibiting the kind of blind faith in a black and white scenario that is going to get the Democrats in trouble, and this is what we're trying to warn you about.
It's not a blind
Look,
faith
we
thing.
can't really say one way or the other. Look, we can't say one way or the other until 2022 and
That is
2024. To
what
be
I've been
frank,
trying to say. You never
Well-
fucking let me finish my point, okay? I'm getting really angry about that. Like, I am aware of the depravity of the Republican Party, okay? But it's
it
like,
just sounds,
There,
it
there
just
are
sounds like you
people who
did.
are affected by this, but unfortunately, it's not as many people as should be.
I think the
And
concern
it
here.
remains to be
Hold
seen
on
how
a
many
second.
it is.
Yeah, I think the concern here is that we're having a causation versus correlation issue here. Yes, they left the party, but we don't know which way they're going to vote, and that's the main
it's also-
concerning issue.
yeah, it's also what the Dems are doing right now, okay? What their plan is they are tying the moral reprehensibility of the insurrection, of all of the developments that happened on January 6th, on not just Trump, not just the insurrectionists, but on the Republican senators who will vote to acquit Trump. And I don't know, and yeah, I don't know if that will work or not. But that is the plan that the Dems have, okay?
All right,
Like,
fair enough.
you know,
All right.
I'm not arguing that it's going to be successful. It's just what they're attempting to do. I can't say that it's going to be effective. I'm not. But what I can say is it is having somewhat of an effect in the here and now. That we have people leaving the Republican Party over the insurrection. That is the short term. That is the very short term.
And we do have a lot of people on the Republican side once again who are retiring, quote unquote, en masse.
Yes.
Who are saying, "Yeah, I'm just not going to run again." It's like it's like their fun meter and their dance card are full, and they've decided to check out.
Although frankly, the big Republic, although, frankly, with Portman, maybe that's what it is with him. Although the way he's been sounding with this trial, I don't think that's the case. And with Shelby, it's like he's like in his 80s, and it's like maybe he's just tired of everything because he's old.
I mean, that really hasn't
anyway,
stopped any senators or Congress people in the past. How many people have died in office in the last decade?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's true, but it's more like with him, it's like, he's going to vote to quit, so it's not like his vote's in question.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying. But they also see the writing on the wall. They're just done with everything. They're like, you know what? I'm out.
That probably has that may have something to do with it in Shelby's case, maybe Portman's too, but I don't know.
All right.
But anyway.
Well then. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show.
It's a political debate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, at least nobody left. Nobody walked off the air.
Yeah.
But at least at the end, we at least came to somewhat of an understanding.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
I am not saying that, this is an effective plan, but it is a plan. It's just, it's kind of based off of the moral compass of the Republican Party, which doesn't exist. I'm aware of this. I don't have blind faith in the system. I'm like, understand. It's just I understand things, and I do see things happening as well. I just want to explain what the meta game is, so to speak.
Yeah.
suppose on that note, we should move on to the latest developments in COVID relief, because that's had some positive developments.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's probably been subsumed by all the impeachment talk or whatever, but the big fight over COVID relief over the past week has been, let's say, means testing.
Yeah.
A certain conservative was trying to hold up the process.
Yeah, the gentleman from West Virginia.
Because he wanted the cutoff for the $1,400 COVID checks to be at $50,000.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what was it, like 100,000 for families?
Yes, it was 100,000 families. Yes.
And the progressive wing fought back against that quite tenaciously.
Yes.
Because...
And for the first time, and for a rare, rare time, I'm going to say rightfully so.
I'm like, yeah, it's like, the progressive wing was absolutely right here, because...
Especially when your centrist president is telling you this is what needs to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, because this, had this gone through, it would have been fucking horrible for Biden politically.
Yeah, it would have cut off tens of millions of people who should not have been cut off.
Right. Not to mention that we are talking about people who already got the $600.
Right. Exactly.
So, kind of double damage there.
Right.
In political terms. But that, as far as I know, been scrapped. Cutoffs are where they're supposed to be.
Right.
I mean,
everybody's going to suck it up on that front, especially as it's pretty clear that we're not going to give rich people checks.
Yeah. I'm like, but apparently this comes from the whole notion of, $50,000 is really rich in West Virginia.
Because, and again, it's important to note that income is not uniform. And,
right.
and it's like someone making $50,000 in West Virginia is not the same person as someone who makes $50,000 in, New York.
Boy, if I was making $50,000 here, I'd be living like a fucking king.
Yes,
Yeah,
I mean, it's like there are states with a higher cost of living, and that affects the income.
Right.
However, it's the point of making a stimulus payment like this, a direct payment. And I know this may be hard for some things to do. It's important for it to be quick, although this is arguably already like 8 months late or something.
It's quick for government.
My point was that there shouldn't have been such a long delay after the first one.
Right.
But anyway, it's that, and also, it's better to give too much than too little to people because they'll spend it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. If you can avoid giving it to rich people, that's better. That's better because they're the least likely to actually spend it. But
Although,
we just make them give it back on their taxes.
Trying to prevent it.
We just make them give it back on their taxes.
Although, frankly, the arguments apparently against giving people on the higher ends checks is because, they're saving this money, and apparently saving is bad. Although, if you really think about it, if we give money and they save it, that means that's going to mean more for them to spend whenever we get to a more normal-ish sense of reality here.
So you see, Kevin, you've fallen into the classic trap, which is pretending, which is believing that this kind of payment is supposed to be good for the people who receive it.
I was waiting for something about
It's
a land war in
It's
Asia.
It's supposed to be good for the economy.
Yeah.
Therefore, saving it is not helping the economy.
And never messing with a Sicilian when death is on the line.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that is the argument. It's because saving is bad because you're not putting it into the economy. So
This, incidentally, is actually the best conservative argument for giving lots of money to poor people because they'll spend all of it right away. But, you know, they don't have to listen to reason, so...
because poor
Obviously, most
people,
of the reason.
poor people are lazy, stupid, and don't deserve a damn thing from the government. Even though they claim that they care about poverty, they actually really don't.
It's funny how the term
So.
haul yourself up by your bootstraps got co-opted, considering the fact that that was
Yeah.
originally run in a newspaper as a derogatory term, explaining that it's actually physically impossible. If you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps, you'd fall down.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or you couldn't
I
lift
think
yourself
that's
because you're standing on your bootstraps.
Although when you put it that way, it kind of makes it seem like that it isn't used intentionally then.
Mm-hmm.
But they're pretending it's not.
Yeah.
Well, that's why most liberals who say it are saying it sarcastically in reference to most people with libertarian leanings.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that bill is being that bill apparently is being still done on the side, and whenever this trial is over and done with and out of here, that's when we'll get right back. We'll get it right back into the business of the bill, and then that should be done by early next month.
All right.
Well, I think the thing is, it's being worked on in the House right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
they're doing some additional markup. They're doing some additional markup, which
they're basically putting the meat and potatoes into this thing after being given the template, if you will.
Yep.
Right, like they're adding. I think what was it, a $300 child credit or something like that?
Right.
I think so. Yes.
Which was a Mitt Romney proposal, surprisingly enough.
I'm scared.
Yeah. Although his proposal, the way
Insert joke about Mormons and having children.
although the way he wants to fund his proposal is a no-go, so yeah.
I mean, I think the Dems' view is it was a nice idea. We'll do it our
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
which is how the Dems have been operating.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, frankly, that was the ACA. Really, it's taking Republicans and doing it our way. If you think about it.
Sort of.
And this time they won't have a year of, and this time they won't have a year's worth of hearings to burn up productivity time in the Senate.
No.
We can hope.
Well, no. So.
Well,
I mean, I don't think the Dems. I don't think the Democrats are in the business of wasting time here at this point.
no, like one of the things that's been prioritized here is the urgency.
Well,
Yeah.
well, and they also don't have to court. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
It's also because they're going to use the tools of reconciliation to pass this.
Well, and they're also not courting the vote of Olympia Snow to break a filibuster.
She's been out for a while, but yes.
To break a vote from a fake Democrat who switched sides.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of the thing that was going on. That even though Arlen Specter switched sides in 2008, he didn't give them their filibuster break. They still had 59 votes, and they needed to court a Republican or two.
Yeah.
And that's why the ACA is fucked. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this time they just need a simple majority.
Right.
And
well, it's good to see them taking a scorched earth campaign at this point.
Yeah, and at some point the filibuster is probably going to get chucked.
It probably won't. It won't be for this. It probably
Yeah.
won't be for the next major piece on the agenda, which will be infrastructure. There's apparently going to be a meeting about that tomorrow. That'll be fun.
The Republicans
And,
are going to exhibit intransigence. They're going to start trying to filibuster every goddamn thing that comes down the pike. And so they're going to let the precedent be established that that's what they're doing with the filibuster before they make the case to get rid of it.
Yeah. It won't be. They're not going to get rid of it for this. We don't need to. They probably won't get rid of it for infrastructure. I think that's going to be a thing that'll get bipartisan support, actually, because I think that infrastructure is the way to get bipartisanship on anything in this 2-year period. And after that, maybe that'll probably be when they kill it with maybe the Voting Rights Act if that's put on the floor. That's probably going to be the thing that kills it. Frankly,
Could be.
Could be. I suppose we'll have to see how.
I mean, it's going to come. It's going to be, if it's killed, it's going to be over a major piece of legislation and not some minor bill. It's going to be on a major piece of legislation because otherwise it would look pretty, kind of dumb. You have to kill it for a reason. That's not, some bill that nobody really cares about.
Schumer needs a well, they forced my hand situation.
Right, exactly.
That way he can get Cinema and Manchin on board with it as well.
Right. And it's like there are very few, topics and pieces of legislation that can help you get to that point. The main one that I think that even, Tom Daschle said in an interview agrees with, that probably would kill the filibuster would be on voting rights. That would be the thing that kills the filibuster because it's like it is a key piece of legislation that probably the black community and the brown community are both going to look at very closely to see if you can get pushed through and done.
And that will also largely impact Democrats' electability in 2022 is if they actually show they show some stones and some backbone.
Right, and that's exactly why, if and when a Voting Rights Act comes to the floor, that would be the thing that kills the filibuster. Because if they don't kill the filibuster for that, and they allow that thing to die because of the filibuster, it will piss off enough black and brown voters to threaten our electability in 2022. If we put it on the floor and we stand up for it, and meaning we kill the filibuster over it, we're going to be rewarded over that. So look, that is the thing that will probably kill the filibuster. When will that happen? Who the hell knows? All I know is that would be the thing that kills it. Anyway.
All right, let's cool down a little bit and do some entertainment news. Although that can be equally incendiary for entirely different reasons. Adam, let's. What?
I don't think it'll lead to arguments here. So.
Oh, I don't know about that. We're already arguing about whether it'll be an argument.
Especially since we got to start off with more sports ball.
Ah, yes, you did mention that in your tweet.
Yes, because fucking Tom Brady.
You're like, you did.
What's that? Did someone count out touchdown Tom?
You're like, I'm glad that my home team won, but...
Fuck you, Tom Brady.
Okay, my home team is the Denver Broncos. I was born in Denver. That's always going to be my home team.
That kind of situation, huh? Say hello to somebody who lives in Atlanta, but whose family is mostly from Minnesota.
Yeah, that was like me trying to back the Pac-12. That was like me trying to back the Pac-12 in Alabama.
Well,
if you don't roll Tide, get out of Mobile. Go ahead.
Yeah, if not them, then my home team would be the names redacted. Because I grew up in Northern Virginia from ages 3 to 19.
Ah.
Yeah.
Although technically you could call it WFT, so.
Whatever you want to work with here.
Right.
The Washington football team, I thankfully never have to refer to their fucking ancient dead name or their goddamn fight song. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh God!
The chop.
Like, oh, you do not know how fucking racist that
Oh my god.
that thing was. Holy
Kind
shit!
of puts the brakes on any arguments that the name was an honorific.
Oh fuck! I'm like, I can't even sing it.
Yeah,
because
don't.
It's,
We won't traumatize you further.
it's like, oh, like I might find a link to the song to show you guys of how bad it is, but not here, not now.
Well, as I can attest to it because I myself also spent a good part of my adult life in Nova. So, yeah.
So anyway, yeah, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won. What was it? 31-9 or something.
9.
Yes.
Wow.
It was
Yeah,
a blowout. It was a disappointment in terms of a game.
That 9 is 3 field goals, by the way.
That is
Yep.
correct. It was a complete blowout, and it was a disappointment of a game that I punched out of midway through the third quarter.
And I'm
Yeah,
pretty
I mean-
sure local Walmarts here in Chiefsland sold out of razor blades for people to start removing decals.
Well, a lot of the hardest.
We
of
hope
lifters.
that's the reason they bought the razor blades.
Yeah,
That's the G version of buying the razor blades.
Yeah.
How about
meanwhile, in the city of
But our-
champions,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say Tampa Bay, City of Champions. You
That's
got
not
the
even
Bucks.
close.
City
No,
of
no.
Super Spreader events.
You
that
got the,
too, but
yeah, you got the
apparently-
Bucks. You got the Lightning.
Yeah,
The Rays were a game or two away from winning the World Series.
yeah. Like, I'm not sure how that happened, but that happened.
Well, if you think about it, like the Bucks were the last time the Bucks were at this pinnacle was like 2000, 2001,
2002.
2002, yeah,
my
somewhere
car-
early 2000s. Yeah,
My car repair place still has like a standee and news clippings of the last time Tampa Bay won a Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
Only
Like-
their second
Yeah.
time in franchise history.
Yeah.
like it was like around that time, like
But
that
it's
was also the
especially-
last time the Lightning were good, and then they've come back every so often, and
Yeah,
the
there was-
the Rays last were this good early 2010s, so
Yeah.
you could basically say that it was like a cycle. So
yeah. I'm like, and it's especially annoying because Tom Brady is going to be in the fucking greatest of all time conversation forever now.
yep, great. Not just in football, neither. Greatest athlete of all time,
Which is
which is
always
totally
been a
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a stupid debate because what you do in football is different than baseball or basketball. Ask Michael.
I mean,
Well,
baseball is also
yeah, we also
not
had
the
this.
most athletic sport.
We also had this dinner table debate because somebody brought up Serena Williams, and it's like, yeah, you know what? When tennis is full contact, then you can talk to me about career-ending injuries.
Although I will say, although I will tell you this, she did win a Grand Slam title when she was pregnant.
Great.
That is
That's fantastic. That's
impressive.
fantastic.
That's
It's one-on-one, and it's not a contact sport. The
It's
probability.
also a very intense. It is also a very intense sport.
I
It
played
takes a lot
tennis.
for
I
you to-
played tennis for 20 years. Yes, I get it. But the point is that rolling an ankle is not necessarily a career ender. Pulling a hamstring is not necessarily a career ender. Getting chop blocked in the face.
and that can also work the other way because there are harder contact sports like boxing and
Right.
MMA.
Yeah, I mean this is not a, this.
Professional wrestling.
The point.
Look,
the point is.
look,
the point is not an equal. I mean. Look at the women's league where they abused them and made them wear bikinis. I mean, again, I'm going to apply the same career enders to those women as well. But I'm saying football is a much more dangerous sport than tennis.
Fair
Look, the
point.
point of order is
Soccer
Is
is
that
a more
this debate
dangerous
really
sport
doesn't
than tennis because there's a contact element of it.
look, the point of order is this: this whole debate about greatest of all time athlete
Right.
makes no sense simply because every sport is really different.
Usain Bolt
Every
trained for
sport-
4 years to run 9 minutes. Right?
I mean, every sport is different.
Or 9 seconds
The
or
way
whatever
that
it was.
you have to look, the way that you look at this debate is: do you think that football is the greatest sport? Do you think that football is a more intense sport than basketball? Do you think that football is a more intense sport than, boxing? Do you think that football is a more intense sport than hockey?
Well, that's the
Do you
problem
believe
with
that-
Do you
comparing.
believe that
Hold on a second.
oranges are a more fruit than apple?
Well, here's the more important thing to consider is that since each one of those sports requires a different set of disciplines, they're all incomparable. So there is no greatest athlete. But I found it even more ridiculous to compare tennis to football because of the physical rigors. Well, yes, playing tennis professionally is very, very difficult, and I'm not saying I could play against Serena Williams. I'm not that idiot.
Yeah.
The point is that if you compare equal competitors on that playing field at that level, it's not the same.
Look, what you have to do with this debate is: what are your feelings about the intensity, the athleticism, etc. of each individual sport at this point, along with, what you think of the greatest of each individual sport, and you compare them.
I would definitely put Olympic triathletes against Tom Brady any day of the fucking week. Because it's not about wins, because once again, football is a team effort. The quarterback, as the San Diego Chargers learned a hard lesson on many occasions before their ignominious transfer to Los Angeles, the relying solely on having a great quarterback or even a mediocre quarterback when the rest of your team is at best is not a good way to win. So a win-loss record doesn't mean anything, especially if the rest of your team is equally good in their own disciplines. So, that's the real takeaway from all this is that it's literally impossible to properly gauge who is the greatest athlete of all time unless said athlete literally does it all. Basketball, football, golf, tennis, competitive running, triathlon, decathlon, shot put, boxing, competitive driving if you want. If they're not in all of the disciplines and they're not the greatest that ever lived at all of them, then they can hardly be the greatest athlete that ever lived, can they?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, to be frank, if we want to put it that way, Bo Jackson is the greatest athlete of all time.
Well,
because he played baseball and football. So
at least he's closer than Tom Brady.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Michael Jordan played basketball. He played baseball poorly.
I would say not poorly, but more mediocre.
Well,
which is the difference,
right? But the point was that he tried to jump into the majors with no prior experience.
Although I would argue that if you actually look at his numbers, he actually wasn't that bad considering.
No, but he wasn't.
And then he probably would.
He just wasn't, Michael Jordan of baseball.
Right.
Although I will say to you this, probably the main reason why he wasn't a baseball player after 1995 is because of the player strike. If the players hadn't gone on strike in 94 and 95, he may be a major leaguer. He may have been a major leaguer and not have gone back to the Bulls.
Maybe. It's hard to
picture that.
Yeah. But then we would have had another three-peat.
Right. Well, yeah.
I got all the shirts in my bottom dresser drawer still. They still have the NBA decals on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If he hadn't gone back to the Bulls, he wouldn't have had that three-peat. But he probably couldn't have if it wasn't for that player strike, giving him the excuse. So. Picture that from. But anyway,
I find this. I just find it too hard to quantify. Greatest athlete if you're not couched in at least more than one discipline.
Right. Exactly.
That's
I
just
wouldn't say
unfair.
any one sport person, but he is definitely. Mm-hmm. Certainly, he has one of the best career records in football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Anyhow.
in terms of football, he's going to be eternally in that debate.
I mean, I could sit here and do my lame John Madden impression and be like, yeah.
Anyway.
You can cut off both his arms and both his legs, and he'd still be the best torso in football.
I mean,
Anyway.
Terry Bradshaw clearly thinks that Terry Bradshaw is the greatest of all time.
Oh my god. Frank Caliendo is not funny.
Yeah. Anyway.
Alright. Any anime news?
Do we have time for it at this point?
I mean,
This is the longest show we've ever done.
our time slot is arbitrary. I mean,
Yeah. I'm just saying that this is the longest show we've done at this point because of that blow up we had an hour ago.
I mean, we're only at an hour and 10 minutes. It's technically not the longest show for another 35 seconds. So
Yeah, we're gonna blow by it.
We had a lot, like, consider this the inverse of last week. We had a lot to talk about this week.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh,
Yep.
but yeah.
I do have a couple of items studio related. Number one, I've pared down the streaming schedule for Retro Gaming Emporium a little bit. I keep getting up every day to do this mobile stream, and then fewer and fewer people keep showing up to watch it. So I'm just like double middle finger to it. Keeping King's Raid for the time being and Honkai Impact. I've canceled Epic 7 and Tales of Crestoria. I just wasn't reliably getting viewers on that, and until I get here's the real deal on that.
That's a mobile Tales game.
Yes. It's one of the better ones I've played, though. Here's the deal on that, though. Until I can afford the device that will allow me, there's two devices I need. I need a actually functional. I bought one and it was crap. I need an actual functional Lightning to HDMI adapter. And then there's a streaming box that I want to get that is designed specifically to work with OBS that allows me to connect a myriad of external boxes with or without a PC to streaming services. Like I can plug in a 32 gig flash drive, I can record stuff, I can do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. But until I actually physically get that, it's about $160. And the adapter, the official Apple one, is about $45. I'm not going for any more aftermarket shit after my first fiasco with the $10 version that lasted literally 2 hours. Until that happens, my mobile stream is kind of curtailed because if you're not podcasting like this, people want to see. Oh God, my cat's vomiting over here. If you're not podcasting like this, people want to see you. That's like a weird Twitchism. And I don't know if it's because Pewds does it, and Markiplier does it, and Jacksepticeye does it, and all those big name guys does it, because they're on camera 24/7. But
well, if you think about it, that's pretty much how Twitch and all of its knockoffs pretty much were built, basically off of people watching people playing games with them on the lower right in their chairs, green screened and everything, and
right,
so on and so forth. And it's like the big players, and then there's everybody else. So, but that's how basically these things were built. So.
Right. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing now. And aside from this one, because we have a small built-in audience already, thanks to you and Adam. And my former fame. Thanks to those three factors, this one we can get away with not doing it because it is a traditional podcast. But but anything else, we would need to be on camera. And so that's what I'm going to be doing going forward is I'm paring down the mobile stream until I can be on camera in every stream. I started getting more people to show up when I did a face reveal on the Honkai Impact one. So I was getting like 1 to 2 average viewers at most, and then all of a sudden I started getting 3 to 5. So, meanwhile, all of the mobile streams except for King's Raid, which has the booby jiggle physics, has seemed to have turned off the viewers. So I did away with a couple of streams. Also, that allows me to actually get some rest in between podcasts and put my A game on for the stuff that I'm keeping on the air. But those were the two least popular. I did cancel Lord of Heroes today. I was going to try to do it, but I was like, I kind of want the numbers from last day's desk. Because remember, it averages them if you do multiple streams a day. And then the other really important news is that we have actually successfully delivered our 4th episode of The Lavenders on time. One more to go. Act 1 will be complete, and then crunch time comes because in addition to cutting up the dialogue and scenery for Act 2, we will also have to take into consideration that we'll be needing to develop new artwork for Act 3, which was never produced as a webcomic. So that's kind of important. It's gaining a little bit of traction, but we're not quite there yet. So go check that out on YouTube. It's the link is below the video box. There should be a YouTube link right there that will take you there. Plus, you can rummage through our archive of shows much more easily and readily because they are arranged into playlists. All right. And, of course, don't forget to follow me on Twitter because, otherwise how the hell else are you going to hear about this show? From these guys? Come on!
You can't just follow us. You can't just listen to us. You got to listen to the man himself, Without him, there is no us.
I feel like there's a veiled insult in there.
No,
but I'm going to let go.
Insult. Compliments.
I'm going to let that slide.
Yeah, it's a compliment. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've wanted to do this show for a long time. I mean, Adam will tell you. We've been talking about it for literally a decade now.
Anyhow.
Since at least 2011. So.
Yeah, but,
And formal plans, I think, started in 2016.
And what's even more important is that if we follow our old policy of 26 and out, and then take a 2-week break, then we have 10 more episodes left in this season. Because this is old number 16, even though I forgot to identify it on the stream.
Yeah.
You can go and re-edit that.
Yeah, it'll take about 30 seconds. But I just thought it was kind of a neat milestone that we've made it 16 episodes without killing each other yet.
Although we probably came closest to it tonight.
Woo!
That was always going to happen.
Yeah, it was going to come at some point.
My nails are a little bloody right now from all the nail biting.
Yeah, but we managed to get out of it clean and unscathed, so...
Yeah. A civilized end to an otherwise uncivilized week.
Evening, yes.
Yeah. Alright. Well, that's it for this episode of Last News Desk on the Left. And I'm glad my new microphone actually worked out, because I'm always nervous about changing technology. I spent the last 3 days completely rebuilding 2 or 3 computers here, and I feel like that time could have been better spent, especially if I had have found the problem. You know that old joke about it's always the last place that you look? I pulled out everything except the RAM because I just didn't want to believe that was the problem.
And it was the problem.
And it was the fracking problem.
Isn't that one of the things that fails?
That's probably one of the things you're actually supposed to check first. It's like, put memtest x86 on it and see what happens. And I was like, Pshaw! Can't be that. It's got to be this 10-year-old hard drive that's in here. Of course. Maybe it's the motherboard. Maybe the video card has failed. Maybe there's a bent pin on the processor. Yes, considering it's never been removed by me in the last 6 years. Anyway, all right. So on behalf of the crew at the Last News Desk on the Left, I'm your host, Mac Paladin. We'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Hopefully not late. That was unintentional this week. I was yeah. Anyway.
Couldn't find the button to get it started.
Yeah, that's it. We'll call it that.
Yeah.
But yeah, same time, same place, 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 11 Eastern, as it says on the placard. And on behalf of the crew here, thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, kids.
Wear a mask, folks.